Have you ever wondered why certain people appear in your life out of nowhere, only to leave a mark on your soul that never fades? Why a stranger's kindness stayed in your heart for years? Why someone you trusted shattered you, yet somehow led you to your greatest growth? Or why a brief connection felt more meaningful than a lifelong relationship? Buddhist wisdom reminds us of a truth most people overlook. No one enters your life by accident. Every encounter is a thread in the tapestry of your becoming. Some people come to awaken a sleeping part of your spirit. Others come to test your strength. A few arrive to love you, and some to teach you how to love yourself. These souls don't always stay, but they always leave something behind. A lesson, a shift, a reminder of who you are and what you're here to learn. When you stop seeing people as random and start recognizing them as reflections, guides, and mirrors, your pain begins to make sense, and so does your healing. Because the moment you realize that no one crosses your path by chance, you begin to live with open eyes, a softer heart, and a deeper understanding of the sacred design behind every connection. 1. Every soul is a teacher, even the ones who hurt you. In life, we often think of teachers as wise, kind figures who guide us gently through learning. But Buddhism teaches us that some of the most powerful teachers don't come wearing robes or offering kindness. They come through heartbreak, betrayal, and disappointment. These people don't enter your life to ruin you. They come to reveal something hidden deep inside you that needs healing. When someone hurts you, it can feel unfair and painful. You might wonder what you did to deserve such suffering. But from a higher perspective, their role in your life isn't to destroy your spirit, it's to help you grow. Their behavior shines a light on parts of yourself that you may have ignored. Your need for approval, your attachment to certain outcomes, or your fear of being alone. These inner wounds often go unnoticed until someone triggers them, and once triggered, they can finally be healed. For example, someone who constantly criticizes you may be showing you how much you depend on others for validation. Someone who abandons you might be forcing you to learn how to stand on your own. It doesn't mean they were right or justified in hurting you, but it does mean their presence served a deeper purpose. The shift begins when you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and instead ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" This one change in mindset turns pain into wisdom and transforms suffering into self-awareness. Suddenly, the person you once saw as the enemy becomes a mirror reflecting the work you still need to do within yourself. Buddhist wisdom encourages us to understand that nothing is wasted, not even pain. Every encounter, every hurt, every wound can lead to a lesson if you're willing to look deeper. When you see every soul, even the difficult ones, as a teacher sent to shape you, life becomes less about blame and more about learning. And it is through this lens that healing truly begins. Because even the sharpest pain can become the strongest wisdom if you allow it to teach you. 2. Some people come to awaken dormant parts of your soul. There are moments in life when someone walks in and without even trying, they awaken something inside you that had been asleep for a long time. Maybe it's a sense of creativity you had buried. Maybe it's a confidence you forgot you had. Maybe it's simply joy, the kind you haven't felt since childhood. These people often arrive quietly, but the effect they have is powerful and unforgettable. In Buddhism, there is a deep understanding that every being is interconnected. This means that we don't evolve alone. We grow through the energy, presence, and influence of others. Some people come into your life like a match struck in the dark, helping you see what was always within you, just waiting to be remembered. They might not even stay long. They may be a friend, a stranger, a mentor, or even someone you meet just once. But their presence activates a part of you that had been hidden beneath fear, routine, or self-doubt. Perhaps you meet someone who lives boldly, and it reminds you that you've been playing small. Or someone expresses love in a way you've never experienced, and it teaches you how to receive without fear. These people don't change you. They help you rediscover yourself. They pull back the curtain on your own potential. You may not recognize their purpose at first. It might even take years to realize how deeply they affected you. But when you look back, you'll see the shift. You'll notice that after they entered your life, something inside you came alive, and that awakening was never an accident. Buddhist teachings refer to this as a kind of spiritual unfolding when someone's energy aligns with yours in such a way that your soul begins to bloom. Their role isn't to complete you, but to remind you of your own completeness. They don't bring magic into your life. They reveal the magic that was always there. And even if they leave, even if the connection ends, their impact remains. They were never meant to stay forever. Their role was to reintroduce you to the parts of yourself you had forgotten. And in doing so, they helped you step into a fuller, more authentic version of who you are. 3. The difficult ones reflect your inner work. It's easy to feel grateful for the kind people in our lives, the ones who support us, understand us, and make us feel safe. But what about the ones who annoy us, frustrate us, or trigger us so deeply that we question our own peace? Most of us try to avoid these people or blame them for how they make us feel. But in Buddhist wisdom, these individuals are actually among the most important. Why? Because they are mirrors reflecting what still needs healing within us. When someone constantly irritates you, it's not just about their behavior, it's about the reaction they provoke inside you. That reaction is a signal. It's pointing to an unresolved emotion, an old wound, or a part of you that's not yet at peace. Maybe they make you feel invisible, and that stirs up your old fear of being forgotten. Maybe they talk down to you and it brings back your past experiences of feeling unworthy. Their behavior becomes a spotlight on the places where your inner work is unfinished. Instead of asking, why are they like this? Try asking, why does this affect me so much? That shift in thinking moves you from a place of blame to a place of growth. You begin to see that these difficult people didn't enter your life to torment you. They came to reveal you to yourself. Buddhism teaches us to become observers of our thoughts and emotions, not to react blindly to them, but to study them with curiosity and compassion. When someone triggers you, it's not necessarily their fault. It's an opportunity. Your emotional response is a message from within saying, here's a place where you're still carrying pain. Here's where you're still holding on. The truth is, everyone carries emotional baggage traumas, memories, beliefs formed in childhood. But much of it stays hidden until someone pokes the wound. And often, that someone is a person you wish would just leave you alone. But instead of pushing them away, consider this. Their presence in your life might be exactly what your soul needs to grow stronger, wiser, and more peaceful. This doesn't mean you must tolerate harmful behavior or allow people to walk all over you. Boundaries are essential. But it does mean that while protecting yourself, you also take time to reflect. What part of your inner world are they disturbing? What have they awakened in you that you didn't want to see? When you learn to treat these people not as enemies, but as spiritual messengers, everything begins to change. You stop wasting energy trying to change them, and you start transforming yourself. You become more aware, more grounded, and more in control of your own peace. Some of the hardest people you'll ever meet will give you the clearest view of your own inner landscape. And when you face what they reflect without judgment, but with presence, you take a huge step toward emotional freedom. Because in the end, the real battle isn't between you and them. It's between the version of you that wants peace and the part of you that still believes others are responsible for it. 4. Some souls are here to help you repay karma. There are times in life when we feel pulled towards certain people without knowing why. It could be a sudden attraction, a deep sense of familiarity, or even an uncomfortable connection we can't seem to walk away from no matter how hard we try. These are often the signs of karmic relationships. According to Buddhist wisdom, these people don't just randomly appear. They return to us for a reason, woven into the threads of our spiritual journey to help us settle old balances and complete unfinished stories. Karma isn't just about reward or punishment, it's about energy. Every action, every intention, every word and thought leaves an imprint, like footprints in the sand of your soul. And sometimes, those imprints don't fade away until they've been understood, transformed, or released. When someone reappears in your life, or when you find yourself locked in an emotional pattern that keeps repeating, it may not be about what's happening right now. It could be the echo of something your spirit has carried for a long time. You may find yourself deeply bonded to someone who challenges you in all the wrong ways. Perhaps they test your patience, stir up jealousy, or awaken a sense of abandonment. At first, it may feel like they are the problem, but on a deeper level, they are reflecting an old wound or unfinished energy from the past. In Buddhist belief, this is not a punishment. It is a chance to finally understand, grow, and let go. Think of it like this. If your soul is carrying a debt, whether emotional, energetic, or spiritual karma, will gently guide you into situations or relationships where you can face it and resolve it. That person who keeps coming back into your life only to hurt you again and again. They may be the soul who once loved you, wronged you, or was wronged by you in a past chapter of existence. And now, in this lifetime, your meeting is not accidental. It is your opportunity to break the cycle through forgiveness, truth, and growth. This doesn't mean you must keep people in your life who are harmful or toxic. But it does mean that before cutting them off completely or falling into blame, take a moment to reflect. What lesson is my soul trying to learn through this connection? What pain or attachment is asking to be healed, not just avoided? Karmic relationships often feel intense and emotional, but that's because the energy they carry is ancient. You might not even understand the depth of it right away. Sometimes these connections are beautiful souls who come to help you repay karma with kindness and healing. Other times, they are difficult, showing up to push you toward inner strength and closure. Regardless of how they arrive, their presence is not a random mistake. It is sacred. Your soul recognized them long before your mind did. The experience they bring may not be easy, but it will be meaningful if you meet it with mindfulness and intention. To repay karma is not simply to suffer. It is to complete a chapter with wisdom instead of pain. It is to forgive where there was once resentment, to walk away with love instead of anger, and most importantly, to free yourself from the repeating cycle so that you can step forward lighter, clearer, and closer to inner peace. In the end, some souls don't come to walk with you forever. They come to help you finish something ancient so that you can finally begin something new. 5. Temporary people often teach permanent lessons. We live in a world that often measures the value of a relationship by how long it lasts. We're told the true connections are the ones that endure, that people who come and go were never meant to matter, and that lasting presence equals deeper meaning. But Buddhist wisdom offers a much different view on that is softer, wiser, and far more liberating. It teaches us that the soul doesn't measure time the way the mind does. Some of the most important people you'll ever meet may only stay for a season or even a single moment, yet leave behind lessons that transform your life forever. Think about the people who entered your life and then left, maybe suddenly, maybe slowly. At the time, it may have felt confusing or painful. You may have asked yourself, why did they come into my life if they were just going to leave? But that question assumes that the only purpose of a connection is to stay. What if they didn't come to stay? What if they came to shift something inside you, to break open a part of you that was closed, to teach you something you were ready to learn, or to remind you of something you had forgotten? There are people who appear when your soul is hungry for change. You may not even realize how lost you are until someone shows you a new way to see the world, or a new way to see yourself. Maybe they inspired you to follow your dreams. Maybe they helped you believe in love again. Maybe they challenged you to confront a painful truth you had been avoiding. And maybe, once their role in your story was complete, life gently moved them out of your path not as punishment, but as divine timing. In Buddhist thought, impermanence is one of the most essential truths of life. Everything changes, everything shifts. Trying to cling to people who were only meant to stay for a chapter creates suffering, but learning to accept their role and release them with gratitude brings freedom. These temporary people are not mistakes. They are sacred visitors. They arrive, offer you their gift sometimes through joy, sometimes through pain, and then they leave because their purpose has been fulfilled. Their departure doesn't mean they didn't care. It doesn't mean the bond was fake. In many cases, the love was real. The connection was genuine, but the journey was not meant to be permanent. And that's okay. Not every person is a forever person. Some are lightning bolts in the dark brief, but brilliant. They light the way forward for you when you've forgotten how to move. Others are like stepping stones across a river. You needed them to cross, but you can't stay standing on them forever. It takes wisdom to recognize that just because something ends doesn't mean it was a failure. And it takes emotional maturity to honor a temporary connection without bitterness or regret. When you look back at the people who came and went, ask yourself not, why did they leave, but what did they leave behind within me? What did they awaken? What did they teach you about yourself, your desires, your values, your boundaries? You may find that some of the most unforgettable lessons in your life came from people you no longer speak to. And that's perfectly natural. The soul's journey is not about collecting permanent fixture assets, about collecting moments of awareness, transformation, and truth. Those are the things that stay, even when people don't. So the next time someone enters your life and then exits, don't see it as something gone wrong. See it as a door that was meant to open and close at the right time. Trust that their arrival and departure were both part of the same sacred design. And most of all, remember this: the impact someone makes in your life is not measured by how long they stood beside you, but by how deeply they helped you become who you were always meant to be. Let go of the need for permanence, embrace the power of presence, and honor the souls who came only for a moment, but gave you something that will last a lifetime. 6. Some connections are a test of your boundaries. Not every person who enters your life is meant to bring peace. Some come carrying chaos, not because they are evil, but because they were sent to test the strength of your soul. These people often feel like a storm wrapped in a smile. They confuse you, manipulate your emotions, blur your clarity, and make you question your worth. And yet, despite all the signs, you stay. You try to fix them. You make excuses for them. You shrink your truth to make room for their presence. Until one day, your spirit becomes too heavy and you realize this isn't love. This is a lesson. Buddhist teachings often speak of the middle path, a balanced life where compassion and wisdom walk together. But balance doesn't come naturally. It is forged in moments of inner conflict. The people who challenge you the most emotionally are often the ones who bring you face to face with your deepest fears. The fear of abandonment, the fear of being unloved, the fear of standing alone. And the reason these connections feel so intense is not because they're rooted in destinies, because they're awakening parts of you that were afraid to speak up, to say no, or to walk away. Think about it. How many times have you allowed someone to cross a line just to avoid conflict? How often have you silenced your intuition to preserve a connection? How many times have you tolerated disrespect, thinking it was kindness, or excused emotional manipulation, thinking it was love? These are not just relationship mistakes, they are spiritual checkpoints. The universe, through these difficult people, is asking you, will you finally choose yourself? The truth is, boundaries are not walls, they are doors. They show people how to enter your life with respect to not enter at all. But you can't set a door in place until you realize where your house has been left wide open. And the ones who walk in uninvited, causing disorder and pain, are the very ones showing you where to build that door. That person who never respected your time. They taught you the value of your time. That person who drained your energy. They taught you that your energy is sacred. That person who loved you only when it was convenient. They showed you that real love doesn't come with conditions. In Buddhism, the concept of compassion is often misunderstood. It doesn't mean tolerating everything. It means acting from love, including love for yourself. True compassion includes the ability to say, I see your pain, but I will not let it consume me. I wish you healing, but I must protect my peace. Sometimes the most compassionate act is walking away, not out of hate, but out of wisdom, not to punish, but to preserve the self that's finally waking up. These boundary testing relationships are sacred because they reveal where you've been neglecting yourself. They illuminate the spaces where self-love was still conditional, where fear had more say than truth. They push you out of the illusion that love means sacrifice, or that kindness means silence. And once you recognize the pattern rents, you stop giving your power away to people who don't honor it. You begin to evolve. You become the kind of person who doesn't just demand respect, but lives it. You learn to pause before saying yes. You learn to listen to the discomfort in your body, the quiet no that rises in your chest when something doesn't feel right. And most of all, you learn that boundaries aren't barriers to love. They are bridges to authentic connection. Because only when you honor your own space can the right people truly meet you there. Some of the people you meet will not be here to stay. They won't grow with you. They won't celebrate your healing. But they will serve a higher purpose. They will show you where your love for others must finally be balanced by love for yourself. So don't resent the ones who tested your limits. Thank them. They awakened your strength. They exposed your blind spots. They brought your attention back to the parts of you that were still waiting for your protection. Every time you say, "This is not okay," and honor that truth, you rise. Every time you choose peace over approval, you grow. And every time you set a boundary from love and not fear, you step into the life your soul was always meant to lead. 7. Soul connections are recognized, not created. There are moments in life when you meet someone, and without any effort or explanation, you feel something powerful, a connection beyond logic, beyond reason, beyond words. It's not built over time. It's felt instantly. You look into their eyes and sense something familiar, as if you've known them before, even though you've just met. This is what many call a soul connection. And in the teachings of Buddhism, it is believed that some souls are destined to meet, not to start something new, but to continue something eternal. Unlike ordinary relationships that grow through shared experiences, soul connections are remembered. The bond is not formatted, is recognized. You don't have to convince, explain, or try to fit into someone's life. You simply meet and your energies align, like two puzzle pieces that always belong together. There is an unspoken ease, a feeling of comfort and understanding that defies time. These connections are defined not by their duration, but by the depth of truth they awaken within you. In Buddhist philosophy, the idea of interconnectedness teaches that all beings are linked, not only in this life, but across lifetimes. The souls we meet repeatedly are part of our spiritual journey. They've journeyed with us through past lives, shared moments of growth, love, or pain, and return to our story when the time is right. This is why you may feel deeply connected to someone you hardly know, because your soul recognizes them, even if your mind doesn't. These connections are sacred. They don't always begin dramatically or with romantic stories. Sometimes they quietly appear in a friend who supports you unconditionally, in a mentor whose words feel like truths you've always known, or even in a stranger who says exactly what you needed to hear in a moment of doubt. And whether they stay for years or just moments, they leave a lasting mark on your soul. What makes soul connections different from other relationships is the purity of their energy. There's no competition, no need to impress. You can be entirely yourself, raw, open, unguarded, and still feel seen, valued, and loved. They remind you of who you truly are when the world has made you forget. They ground you when you've been adrift. They awaken your highest self and encourage you to live more authentically. But not all soul connections are peaceful. Some are meant to wake you up. They stir the stagnant waters of your life and push you toward change. You may resist them initially because their presence is so intense, but over time, you realize they didn't come to offer comfort. They came to bring about transformation. These are the people who won't let you stay the same. They challenge your thinking, reflect your wounds, and demand your growth. And although it may be painful, their impact is unforgettable. It's important to understand that not all soul connections are meant to last forever. Some are brief guides who appear just when you need clarity, strength, or direction. Once their purpose is fulfilled, they may fade from your life, but their message remains. Others walk with you for years, shaping who you become through shared journeys of healing and awakening. And a few rare ones, perhaps just one, will feel like home, not because they fix you, but because they reflect the truest version of you. Buddhist wisdom teaches that clinging leads to suffering. Even with soul connections, attachment can cause pain if we try to control how long they stay or in what form they appear. Rather than forcing permanence, we are invited to embrace presence, to honor the depth of the connection while allowing it to flow naturally, without fear. Just because a connection is spiritual doesn't mean it's meant to last forever in this physical form. The real gift is not in holding on to someone, but in recognizing their soul when they arrive and allowing them to touch your life fully, no matter how briefly. If you've ever met someone and felt your heart open unexpectedly, if you've ever lost someone and felt a part of your soul still walks with them, if you've ever cried, not because something ended, but because it felt divinely timed, you've experienced this truth. Soul connections are rare, but when they happen, they change everything. They remind us that love isn't always logical, that time isn't the only measure of closeness, and that the soul moves according to a rhythm deeper than the mind can understand. So when you meet someone and feel that deep knowing in your bones, don't doubt it. Don't overthink it. Don't question its worth just because it doesn't come with certainty. Instead, breathe it in. Be present. Be thankful. Because in that moment, your soul is remembering something sacred. And that kind of remembering is never by chance. As you move through life, remember this: no one crosses your path by accident. Every encounter, whether joyful or painful, brief or lasting, is a sacred appointment arranged by something far wiser than the human mind. You may not always understand the reason at the time. Some people will uplift you. Others will challenge you. A few will break your heart open so that more light can enter. But all of them, every single one, serve a purpose in the unfolding of your soul. In Buddhist teachings, nothing is wasted, not even pain, not even goodbye. Everyone who enters your life carries a mirror, a message, or a moment meant to shape who you are becoming. Some come to remind you of your worth. Some reflect what still needs healing. Some return to balance karma. And some are sent to awaken the dormant parts of your spirit that are finally ready to rise. Do not cling to those who stay, nor curse those who leave. Let each soul do what they came to do, then bless them as they go. Honor the connection, not for how long it lasted, but for how deeply it touched your heart. Let love exist even in impermanence. Let lessons be enough, even when closure isn't offered. Because the truth is, the soul doesn't measure time in minutes or years. It measures growth. It remembers energy. It recognizes truth. So walk your path with an open heart.